sometimes when you get a call from the rescue center, it's very sketchy information. So, okay, that's all we have at the moment. Go, 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 and then we'll give you more information as you get going. So that's why communication is so important on the aircraft, because a lot of the feedback you get on the mission, or details, or patient conditions, we get that while we're away, while we're airborne and on our way. The search condition itself, we were in the mountains, obviously up to 10,000 feet roughly, in that area where we were. At night, under night vision goggles, what we did was use the GPS position from the rescue center. Also very important to have a good navigation system on board to get us immediately to the location, because speed is life. The aircraft itself, the concerns we had was aircraft power.
Hovering off of a featureless white surface is going to be a little difficult. We didn't really know enough of where we were going to say that it was going to be a problem or not. So we asked for the Buffalo to get launched so that they could drop the flares. And with a flare illumination, you get a nice soft light over a broad area, and hopefully that would give us more references that we could use. So
we get into a ground effect initially, and about 50 feet above ground, and slowly we were able to stop. As soon as we got to the on scene, though, one of the things that was also another concern is the snowball effect. We didn't know exactly how much, if there was a fresh snow or not there, so that was another issue. So we be careful about coming in slowly, and if there was any kind of ball effect, we would just roll off again, move away, but actually it was fairly iced, hard-packed snow.
It's a very powerful machine, and that is great. It's also a very stable machine. You trim that thing up and you can almost not touch the controls for 10 seconds before you have to make a small input. And so in all of our rescuing, we're always hovering. If it's daytime or nighttime, if it's over the water or in the mountains, you've got to stop the machine from drifting so you can get your guys up and down the hoist and to the patients and the casualties. And so as we taught at the OTF, new people coming along, you have to teach them to trust in the system and to trim off those pressures, because when it's trimmed, it flies amazingly well. And so those assets from a pilot perspective make it a wonderful machine for search and rescue.
The environment as well, in general terms, again, avalanche issue, that's definitely something that they're more into the experts on that than I am. But that was a concern, obviously, that we had as well. How much of because of the downwash, because of the turbulence we're bringing into the area, how much is that, and noise, how much is that going to affect a possible starting an avalanche? Then we put Sergeant Gulliford, on the team leader, on the hook, with Dominic hoisting it down all the way to the location.
This being my first operational mission, I couldn't compare to anything else. Right? So to me, it was probably the usual mission. So I just referred to my training and kept going with whatever I've been taught.
The team lead, he went down onto the ground first, and he assessed the people there. We kind of broke up a little bit of a way we do things. Usually both of us go down. He was down there and assessed, these two people, they need medical condition immediately. Let's get them up. And one more person shouldn't be on that ice. We don't know the stability of the ice. So he stayed down there. We had them come up. I started initial medical treatment on them, got them forward where the heaters were, and then I got back to the door.
Anyway, if you can picture it, anyway, this is up and looking down the slope. So like Billy was saying, they were skiing here, and then boom, this gentleman just went down and through there.
I had the hole right in front of me, so it was actually quite easy to see the drifts. And of course, I had to keep the cable inside the hole at all times to prevent the cable from cutting the ice and probably contacting with the rocks and causing damage to the cable.
So this is about 3 meters by a meter hole. And I understand that actually the crevasse was not like straight down. It was actually like this, and eventually curved, and the Sergeant Gulliford was telling me that it was about there, in the bottom of the crevasse.
I felt pretty confident when I was on the surface. I made a few, I thought, quick key questions. I was hesitant whether I was going to allow myself, basically permit myself to be lowered at the whim of the flight engineer into this. So I asked a few key questions. Dom, are you comfortable? Is everything going well as far as you're concerned? And also checked the communications with the aircraft. I talked to the aircraft commander who was manning the radio, said, how's the hover references? Are you guys solid? Is everything good? Everything's working? Yeah, we're good. Okay, I'll give it a shot then. I'll give it a try. I say all the time, I would want somebody else to try and do it for me or my family. So since I'm the one in the spot, then I had to give it a shot.
At that time, I was just 30 feet above ground, like I said, approximately 30 feet. So in a fairly tight area, tight on power as well. And at that same time, listening to his command, to Dominique's command, in terms of, okay, move left, or steady right, steady left, so that he could have a good eye on the cable and as much as he could on the SAR text.
I tried to keep the aircraft over the crevice, and I was mainly listening to what Billy was saying as far as the speed of the hoisting goes. Again, my concern was with the cable running over the ice, and everything went well up to the point where I saw his head popping out of the crevice.
At one point, I think what happened is also Gully was on the radio. The SAR is going down and was calling the bring me down, bring me down. I think at one point he said stop, and then so Dominique stopped right away, and I believe Gully was just saying, okay, good, you can understand me, or you can I guess you can understand my command. That's good. So keep going, keep going. So I was like, okay, just testing the radio system. Anyway, all the way down to the crevasse, and at the bottom of the crevasse, he found the third man, hook him up.
I did use some techniques that aren't taught. Like I asked him to hoist me when I wasn't directly under the helicopter. It was an angled slope, so I was just looking to be sort of dragged. I couldn't move. I couldn't carry the patient. I couldn't move on foot. So I just asked him to more or less center me under the aircraft, just drag me up the side, basically like use the winch to winch and winched us up like dead weight. And I did very little. I just put my back to the slope and skidded up until I was plumbed underneath the helicopter. So Dom was very hesitant. I had to really convince them that I was okay and I wanted this to be done, that I wasn't going to come up underneath the helicopter until they got the cable weighted. So I didn't make it easy for Dom at all, and he did a fantastic job. And
as soon as you got into the clear, obviously with Dominique, it was easier to get up. But the initial part was very slow to get out of there. And then part of that, as soon as this the third member was on board, we immediately flew back towards Comox, home base. The SAR techs were conducting their protocol on the member. The third member, he unfortunately
declared dead at the hospital. Yeah.
Every rescue is unique, but this one was outside of anything that I would even imagine. As a trainer, to train someone in a scenario, I wouldn't even have come up with something like this. And we talk, and to hear it again, it's amazing. We don't train that way. We don't try and do these things. It's just because of the nature of search and rescue that the crew just filled these slots. These are the things that needed to be done, and people just naturally filled into these spots to make it happen. And it's like we planned it, but it was just good fortune and good airmanship by everyone that made it successful for sure.
Overall, though, all this work is done with tremendous efforts and tremendous work with a team. As a teamwork, and you're part of the team as well, as technicians, as engineers, as managers, working on this fleet, this aircraft, and all part of the success that we actually happen to enjoy in Canada. And thank you again for your product.